Welcome everyone to another exciting AMA here at DeFi Raiders. I'm Degenik. I'm here with Relentless and Danigel from Thales, and we're super excited to have an opportunity to learn more about Thales and what they're doing. Um, so yeah, thanks so much for giving us the opportunity to host you, Danigel, um, and we're looking forward to learning more.
Thanks for having me. And you can just go ahead and call me Daniel or Dan. It's just a Slavic version of that name.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah.
No problem.
Cool. So, all right. So, Dan, um, good. Would you please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your experience in blockchain and DeFi and your role on the Thales team?
I'll be happy to. Like experience-wise, I'm a software engineer, a boomer. I've been doing it for like 15 to 20 years. I've mostly done Web 2 stuff, and then around 2018, I found my way to synthetics. And I've become very engaged as a community member. Just become fascinated with this Web3 world, and I needed some time to just kind of break loose of all the Web2 stuff and just get going. But somewhere in 2020, I've been talking to the founders of Synthetics, and there was this module that they called binary options, and which they wanted to spin out as a new protocol, and I've pitched to take it on and form a team around it. So I'm the founder of Thales protocol, which started as a binary options protocol within Synthetics ecosystem.
Oh, neat. Well, good. So before we get into more about what that means and, and what Thales is and does, would you just talk a little bit more about the team and the history of the project and how how you came together and how you decided this was the
Yeah,
thing to build?
sure. So as I was saying, I was really into the synthetics community Discord, and I've kind of established myself by building these Discord and Twitter bots. It's just a trivial someone to take on this project of binary options. I've just made the pitch, and Synthetics has seeded Thales. And yeah, with that seed money, I started forming a team. The team is very large by this point, so there are more than 20 developers or whatever on the team. Um, and a lot of people I know personally. It's mostly people with a lot of experience, mostly in Web 2. So I've actually brought on people that I knew from Web 2 and just onboarded them into Web 3 because even today it's kind of difficult to find people with just Web 3 skills. Um, yeah, so Tail started as a project about binary options, but it came a long way since then. Um, Now we are like more of a generic project that does prediction markets. We even have sports betting going on. We have crypto binary options are still a thing. So there's a vast portfolio of products that we are offering.
Yeah, cool. So now let's get into what those things are. So the core offering are pari-mutuel markets, as I understand it, right? And these
Mhm.
include the binary options as well as other things.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Parimutuel was kind of something we also inherited from synthetics, and we just find this like an interesting term. Parimutuel, in its essence, means that we all get together, we put our money into a pot, we select a side, and then at the end, the winners split the pot, and that's something that's in a sense not that new in DeFi. Like every AMM could be considered pari-mutuel because there are people providing liquidity and there are people trading against it. But we kind of find this a good fit for just a generic term for everything that we are doing, pari-mutuel positional markets. Um, and we started with an order book approach where people would mint positions and then they would market make. We soon after moved towards automated market makers, which is just a much better tool to scale in Web3 than just sticking to order book approach. Like we found out that order books are still kind of a centralized exchange thing, at least in my point of view. So we are now mostly relying on automated liquidity.
Oh, that's very interesting. So would you talk a little bit more about how it is that that you can offer. Maybe we should actually, I take that back. Let's go into a little bit more into the product offerings, and then we'll come back to AMM versus order book in a little more detail, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, so if you just run us through the core product offerings, and a little bit about the sporting and exotic markets, and how one would engage, how these work.
For sure. I guess I would split it into three things. The first thing would be the binary options platform, which is just what you can find under thalesmarket.io. And it's an automated liquidity product that basically lets you speculate on the price of, let's say, Bitcoin or ETH, or like we've got many crypto assets that we are offering. And the core concept of it is a binary option, which is basically, will it be more than 2K in 2 weeks? That would be a prediction market, if you will. That would be the sentence that would formulate it. And then with that sentiment, you either take a bullish side or a bearish. So you either think it will go above 2K in 2 weeks or below 2K. So that's the our let's say first, or core product that we've started with. Um, and then on top of that, we built something we call range markets. So we used to have only like long or short, up or down market, but then we also introduced this concept of range markets, building on top of those products. And range is basically taking again that example of ETH. You would be formulating a market. Will it be with between 2K and 3K in like 2 weeks? And you can either say it's gonna be in that range, which is basically playing like a low volatility card, or you can say it's gonna be out of that range. And that's all done via Black-Scholes algorithm. That's an established, well-known algorithm in options world. That's how we are pricing those options and offering, people automated liquidity with smart contracts. Um, so everything I've explained so far is basically thalesmarket.io. Then the second thing we built is exotic markets, and this is actually really a pari-mutuel concept where anyone can create a prediction market. We know there are other solutions out there offering prediction markets, but I'm not aware of many, if any, that let anyone create a market. So we established a framework of optimistic oracles or optimistic oracle council that kind of just takes care of making sure there are no like morbid markets or just not something innately bad. But other than that, it's really an open platform for anyone to create a market or on anything basically, whatever you can think of, elections, weather, you know popular events. You can create a prediction market on that, and then you just set the starting liquidity. You set a date until when the market would be open and people can deposit and take a side on that market. And then the final product that came out merely like 2 months ago is Overtime, which is taking our concept of binary options and applying it to sports betting. So you remember I mentioned Black-Scholes as the algorithm that determines odds. Well, for overtime and sports games, like let's take NBA as an example, we can't obviously use Black-Scholes. What we use is Chainlink oracles that serve as the odds, which are basically the most important thing, because odds define the pricing of every position or option. So these are kind of like sports options. Um, and we also get schedules and results from Chainlink. So on Overtime, we are working very closely with Chainlink and Link.io on on getting schedules, odds, and results, and adding new sports and etc.
And this is fascinating to me. I used to do a good bit of propositional betting when I played sports when I was younger. So would you just talk for a minute about more about what kinds of uh, I guess I'll make it a two. I'll make it harder. I'll make it a two-part question. What kinds of of bets can people place on overtime, and then how does the Oracle Council also participate in right in
Yeah.
validating those markets? So if you talk about both those, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. Well, overtime is fully Chainlink backed, so there is no concept of Oracle Council. Um, all the matches, like it's individual matches. We support like 20 sports out of the box. We support all the European football or soccer leagues, if you will. We support all the major US sports, NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB, MLS. We've recently added also the racing sports like Formula One and MotoGP. We have UFC, which is very interesting, and it was in high demand, and we have a lot of volume on UFC fights. And we just keep adding more sports and looking for oracles that could be, sorry, looking for data providers that could serve their data through Chainlink so that we can add more sports. So, and the types of bets you can make is basically, all the individual games, and then you take a position on one of the teams or one of the drivers in Formula One case, and etc.
And could we get down to like, like there will be I would like to bet that there will be at least two safety cars in the next F1 race.
Actually, it's interesting because Formula One and MotoGP, we actually are working with a company that are doing their own odds. They are odds makers. They can really make interesting markets that aren't available like anywhere else. And what we're offering head-to-head markets, like one driver versus the other. To my knowledge, you can't find this anywhere else. And the other type that r- actually we just released like 20 minutes ago, the announcement came up. So the other type is, will a certain driver make it to like top 10, top 5, top 3? So basically like a margin betting on which position, will he be better than this position or worse? So yeah, pretty like we'll continue working with them and having new markets, but even what you asked, I have a feeling they would be able to provide odds for that. Anything we offer has to have odds. That's the essence. Because to have an automated liquidity, you have to have these odds, right? Otherwise, Uniswap V2 approach does not really work, in my opinion, on prediction markets because the impermanent loss would just be out of the roof. So you have to have this kind of Uniswap V3 approach that we have, where the center of the liquidity is kind of moving based on odds.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So now, would you talk a little more about that and how this works, with Uni V3 as opposed to how it would work as an order book, and what that enables? Because it sounds like this wouldn't work at all if you had to wait for somebody to pick up the other side of every
Exactly. I
bet,
mean,
right?
there are, sorry if I interrupted, but there are projects to my knowledge that are actually trying this order book approach. I cannot imagine that actually working in a decentralized manner. Maybe if they are scooping up, the other side from the house or just having bots that are doing it. But like actual decentralized AMM, you have to build that, I feel, in the way we have done it, which is, it's not Uniswap v3, it's a custom contract, but I like to explain it by taking a parallel, drawing a parallel with Uniswap v3. So let's just imagine, I'll just click on, I'm on the DApp now, I'll just open NBA. So Brooklyn Nets versus Miami Heat are playing tonight. Let's imagine the odds are like 50-50. What our AMM does, it starts on 50 cents because our prices are normalized, so from 0 to 1. So if you take a position on Brooklyn Nets and you pay 50 cents, you get back, if you win, $1. So basically that's like 2x. You have doubled your profits if you have one. And that's the starting price. And we have a certain liquidity on the market. And liquidity is relatively high to what you see in decentralized worlds. So, sorry, in decentralized apps. So it's not really that we're having liquidity issues, but liquidity is finally cap. And the closer you get to that cap, the more of a slippage you pay. But the maximum slippage, it's not like this is where it's different from Uniswap v3 or from anything else because the maximum slippage is limited. So even if you drain one team, if you buy like all 10,000 options on Brooklyn Nets, you will pay a maximum of 2.5% slippage, which is kind of ridiculously low. So it's not really something that's gonna throw you off from joining or taking all the available options on Brooklyn Nets. But that's how it works. Basically, it starts at that price that it's set by the odds, which we get from in essence we get it from Pinnacle, which is the best odds maker out there, and then we apply a certain slippage that aims to balance the book so that if you drain the whole Brooklyn Nets side, there's an incentive and a discount on the other side on Miami Heat for someone else to come in and take that side, and that kind of keeps the book rebalanced. And in theory, you can have like infinite liquidity going through one market with this approach.
Oh, nifty. Right, right. Yeah, that's a fascinating approach. Is right. This I could see this breaking any number of different ways without with right either through slippage, through lack of take on the other side of the order book, and so forth. So now let's go um, back to the first two products, to binary options and ranged and positional markets, and the exotic markets. So these. Um, so there are a few different ways that users can participate in any of these, right? So would you just kind of give us a rundown of obviously, aside from taking a long or short position, right? They can be a, a liquidity provider as well.
Yeah, and it's just interesting to mention that we are actually having incentives because of optimism tokens and that program. So any DApp or any product of Thales you use, you actually get rebates or just rewards in op tokens and even our native tokens. Um, we actually have a number of interesting products that are just released or being in the works. For example, for our binary options or crypto AMM, we just released yesterday a program with discounts where we are inviting people to balance the AMM, which is basically an equivalent of providing liquidity because if someone is taking a long side, we are discounting the short side. So, if you buy that discount, you're basically taking um, you're basically providing liquidity in a sense. We are also building structured products or vaults, which are just very popular. Our vaults will be fully permissionless. There will be keeper bots firing transactions, but anyone will be able to call that. So no whitelisting, no admin functions. And those vaults with binary options, you can create a lot of interesting vaults, like all the known trading strategies. You can create a vault like for deep in the money options or out of the money options with discounts. You can create, and we're trying to meme that, like Cola Vault, Crab Market Vault, or Iron Condor Vault, which are actually popular names for trading strategies, and that's something that's being in the works. And then for exotic markets, you can create markets, you can take positions in an existing market. I guess those would be the two things that you can do. Just market make, and yeah, for overtime and sports markets, I guess it's relatively simple. But we are also our crypto AMM and sports AMM are in an essence the same contract architecture. So the things we build for our crypto AMM, like vaults, will actually apply that to overtime, to sports AMM. So it will be very interesting to see vaults, automated trading strategies happening on sports markets, like a trading strategy that always tries to buy discounted positions on teams just to balance the AMM. And ideally, if our odds are correct, which they should be because we get them from Pinnacle, those vaults should be profitable because you get, you get the default odds and then you get a bonus on that. So you don't even pay the house. You're basically getting better odds than theoretical.
Oh, neat. Right. I can see this totally replacing fantasy sports.
I love fantasy sports, so that can also Maybe we
They,
include that as well down the line.
they can coexist, right?
Yeah.
So now I want to ask a little about your what I thought was super interesting reading the docs, that the way you have community or council led governance of, right, of I guess, is it only for the exotic markets,
No,
or
the Oracle Council of Exotic Markets is different than what we call Thales Council,
okay.
which is sort of, it's like delegated governance. I'm sure you know such governance approach from other DAOs. We inherit our approach from Synthetics more or less, where you might have heard of Spartan Council, and I was a long time member of Spartan Council up to like 5 days ago, to be honest. Just decided to take a small break from playing Governor. Um, and so we inherit that, and basically everyone who holds dailies can vote in an elections, and they can vote on who they want to basically make governance decision. And we really delegate all decisions to the council. Like every contract change has to be approved by the Thales Council.
Right, and it's all the way down to when a market closes, right? Whether it's being closed legitimately or something like that. I'm not describing it right. Does that make sense?
Well, when you use Chainlink oracles, you can kind of count on their robustness, so you don't really need to. So that's automated. Like a market closing that's using Chainlink oracles, you can just trust that will be fine. But governance could, in theory, make decisions on how to handle anything. Like one example is governance could decide, should we take overtime and deploy it to Arbitrum chain or to any other chain. That's more something that's being always done, or should we increase this fee, should we change that fee, or should we increase the caps, should we release Thales vaults as a new product. Those are the kind of Thales improvement proposals that the council votes on.
Okay, so yeah, so standard kind of community governance. Are
Yeah,
you planning to adopt the synthetics governance module when they release that?
I guess the simple answer is yes. The longer answer would be we need to see exactly what it looks like when it's released. So to date, the only part that was released was the elections module. I feel everything else is needed to have like proper on-chain governance, but as I know, it's been put a bit on hold due to other priorities happening with synthetics.
Oh, too bad. Yeah, we talked to them, probably a month ago, and it was on the near term roadmap. So I got pretty excited.
Well, near term is relative, so let's hope.
Exactly, exactly. So cool. So you guys that are fully or as fully decentralized as one can be, it sounds like.
Contracts wise, yes. Governance wise, we definitely have ways to go in terms of having like on-chain governance. Right now, our governance is very like Synthetics or many other projects that use Snapshot, which is a signaling tool. It's not really something that changes things directly on chain. But my vision is definitely to have like fully, that Thales token holders really control everything. And I do mean everything. I don't mean just the contracts, like everything from treasury, from the dApp, from the front ends. There are solutions being built on actual decentralized front ends. So yeah, my vision is that really everything is controlled through the chain and thus non-censorable.
Yeah, and would you go all the way to even commits being controlled by on-chain governance?
I would. That's my vision. Like I am always trying to make it very clear that although I am the founder, I'm nothing but a servant to all the token holders and will gladly abide. I will probably advise what's the best thing to do, but if governance votes something in, like definitely would enact anything voted.
Yeah, cool. I definitely, I feel like that's, as our, maybe the rate of innovation in DeFi has possibly slowed a little bit on the technical side, but boy, is it still moving fast on the organization and governance side.
We have to. When Gary slaps you on the wrist, you have to make those changes, right?
Exactly, exactly. So let's see. So now, so I know you've got something called Thales Academy, and have been working on an educational program. So what? So just would you talk a little bit about your plans there, and how you think about educating the community in DeFi?
Yeah, for sure. We actually had a few interesting things. Our academy is definitely, and our approach to education is kind of a gamified approach. And that's not just like I'm not just saying that. We actually built a game that's a tutorial to trading on Thales, and you can check it out on our DApp. Towards bottom, there's something called Tale of Thales, which is actually an origin story of our protocol, kind of like a humorous indie game where you actually go and trade on Thales, and we actually plan to take that further into an actual metaverse game where playing the game you actually make on-chain transactions and interact with an actual chain, like not testnet but actual chain. So that's something I feel it's very unique and interesting. We also built something we called Thales Royale, which is another. It's a game, but it's actually also a protocol, so like a derivatives protocol. It was a pari-mutuel concept where people would buy in, and there would be 6 rounds of guessing will it go up or down. And basically, it's like a survivor game, a battle royale. So if you guess it right, you move to next round. If not, you are you are dead. It was a meme to like this. What was the show named? Sorry, the Netflix show with Squid Game. So it was a meme to that. It was an homage to that. So yeah, if you make it through all the 6 rounds, you basically can get like what's the math saying, like 64 profits. So yeah, it was very fun, and we're still planning to do that from time to time as just a tool. We now have like a bunch of new users that we need to educate, so we'll probably be planning such activities, in a yeah, just happening from time to time.
Oh, cool. That sounds like a lot of fun. And actually, speaking of, would you mind telling the story of the name?
Dailies.
Just in case some people haven't read the docs, it's a great story.
Definitely. So the name Thales is an homage to the ancient Greece Chad, the alpha male of ancient Greece, Thales. Jokes aside, so he was the first historical options trader. He was using his knowledge that was ahead of his time, watching the stars through his telescope or whatnot, and he anticipated that olives will have a huge yield that year. And then he bought the rights to all the olive presses, and when it was kind of obvious that olives will indeed have a good yield, then he sold it back for a fortune. So that's the name, Thales.
I love it.
Yeah, it gives us a lot of meme potential and power. Like even that game, it's you're really playing like as Thales in Miletus, like his city from ancient Greece, and you're going through the city and you're talking with all these characters. And yeah, you can actually buy options on olives in that game. I definitely encourage everyone to give it a go because I feel it's fun. Like I'm sure there are gamers in the house.
Yeah, no, that sounds like just a wonderful way to first engage with the protocol, right? A learning game is just a great idea. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't I imagine it wouldn't have to try very hard to be a lot more fun than GameFi.
Yeah, I think yeah, just give it a try. I loved it definitely, and there are Easter eggs even through the game, so maybe you've encountered those.
Oh, cool. Yeah, good. Maybe we'll have an Easter egg hunt here at some point. So good. I'm going to take a look at our AMA questions channel and see what we have from the audience. All right, Logus, you did have questions from last time. I still have them, in fact. So Logus's first question. Uh-oh, Relentless, are you trying to talk? Are you muted? Little light technical difficulties. So Logus asked last time before when we attempted this and rescheduled, uh, how what's your plan to ensure sufficient liquidity to to keep markets flowing and to ensure protocol longevity?
Well, it's a challenge every every project has to face. We have incentives for liquidity providers if we're talking about the native token. I mean, obviously, that's what your governance token is it's a tool you use to incentivize certain behavior, and we are doing that, and we are also paying OP tokens, optimism tokens, which we received as a grant when the token was launched because we are optimism native. So we are paying those to liquidity providers. The APR has been high for quite a while, so anyone who is doing that is probably doing well. Long term, obviously, we just need to keep grinding, get listed on more sexes, and that's the only route to liquidity, I feel. And with regards to providing liquidity in our products, into our AMMs, I mean, the answer there is simple. You just have to build a good enough AMM that is profitable for liquidity providers. You can only make up for a bad AMM where liquidity providers lose with tokens. Just it's limited how long you can get away with that. So ultimately, you have to make sure the liquidity providers are earning profit, right?
Yeah, precisely right. You can only mint so many tokens for people to dump if they're not otherwise making money.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that makes sense. Is the Thales token based on the Ethereum network, or is it also on Optimism?
It's available on mainnet. It's available on Optimism. It's available on Polygon. Most liquidity is on Optimism, definitely.
Okay, cool, cool. And then let's see. Dev123 asks, bad things, and this is a hard one. Bad things can happen to some tokens like Luna due to the exploitation of chain behavior by cyber attackers. This event shook users' trust in crypto. Does your team have solutions to prevent such exploits in the future? And I know this is a little, a little out of scope necessarily, but just curious your thoughts on this one.
Yeah. Well, again, it's something, a standard approach to things, which is audits. Like the first thing, I mean, we have audits, but we also have a lot of peer review because we are very dynamic. And just the way we are approaching things is we are kind of trying to keep our risks covered while we just get more confidence with all the contracts because even audits go to just a certain extent. Like if you are providing sports betting, audits can tell you, well, your contracts are fine, but will the odds you receive be fine? Are you really covered for any like Oracle, whatever, malfunctions or just getting wrong odds, which basically again could be considered a certain way of exploiting things. And we have seen that, like just because we like NHL, we started supporting the preseason, but the odds for preseason aren't really as sharp as regular season. So like yesterday, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but there was a game that was like 50-50, Edmonton versus like Vancouver. But like on web 2 the odds got changed a lot, like 40%, but that information took time to travel to the chain and for us to get it, and in the meantime many users took the side that was unjustifiably cheaper per se for them. So yeah, that's just something you just have to get a lot of data on, just start with smaller caps and build towards more confidence and higher liquidity.
Yeah, that makes sense, and great point. I mean, I think one of the challenges that that all of DeFi has is that audits only cover a small, maybe they cover 10% to 20% of the total right ballpark of risk associated with any given protocol. Because there are governance, but there are potentially governance issues, there are potentially Oracle issues. Like we remember, Blizz on AVAX getting, implemented their call to Chainlink wrong, and so got exploited out of, I don't know what it was. I assume it was tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, you can't, you can never sleep on DeFi. Like if you want to be doing this, it's gonna be very challenging for myself as a founder. For anyone associated with the protocol, it's basically something you just have to stay vigilant, especially if you want to have, decent volume going on and be competitive. And that's the thing about, sports betting. For like, it's different from crypto MM, which doesn't have as much Web2 exposure or liquidity, because if you want to be competitive in Web2, and there's someone like Pinnacle that offers like a 2% spread. So you have to offer very good odds, which means very low fees, which means your odds just have to be like, very, very sharp. Like you can't. So yeah, that's the challenge we keep encountering. And but it's still very new for us. So considering we just started like 2 months ago with overtime specifically, it's been doing really well, and obviously we are figuring out where we need to improve, where our risks are mostly, and just working very closely with Chainlink on mitigating all of that.
yeah, very cool. No, it sounds like you guys have taken a great approach throughout here. So Relentless asks, would you talk a little bit about decentralized collateral and how that concept works and is maintained?
Yeah, we're using on all of our products synthetics USD or SUSD. um, I mean, it wasn't so far ago when the tornado cash situation happened, and we have seen what could happen if you allow or use USDC. And like USDC is just one example. Like all the major stable coins can have the same argument. USDT also has a blacklist method in it. DAI is just basically wrapped USDC. So yeah, I do feel it's quite important to be using or to at least have the possibility to exclusively use a decentralized stablecoin. Synthetics USD is like you said, you guys already had synthetics here, so I don't need to go to too much details, but it's a stable coin that's basically kept in peg by SNX price. It's been out for a while, so it's not quite new. It's on peg most of the times. But the good thing about it is that no one can take it away from you, like with USDC, right? So that's the biggest reason why of course we are aligned with synthetics, but yeah, we truly believe in using decentralized stablecoins, or even not even using stablecoins. I'm of an opinion that we rely too much on stablecoins, and that if we really believe in this, decentralized non-censorship version of the economy and finance of the world, or even whatever sports betting, then we probably need to stop thinking about denominating everything in US dollar.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, and actually leads into Relentless's next question, which was, do you have any plans to offer trading exposure to non-crypto assets?
Mm. It
And
is,
and here I'm thinking
yeah.
of, like, could we be betting on, on softs, say, on the price of, soybean futures or something like that, and make make foodstuffs become the new stable coin?
I think so. The thing is that even synthetics has kind of moved away from those assets. Um, and one of the reason, I guess, regulatory is always, um, just being safe about that. But I feel while synthetics was listing all these cool things, like they had Tesla stocks, Netflix stocks, they had gold, they had oil. Believe it or not, it had almost zero traction, almost zero volume. So even though people are asking about it, at least at the time there wasn't much volume, which is not to say that that couldn't change. Like I find, for example, gold very attractive, and you cannot get any decent liquidity on chain for gold. Like you could get, I don't know, a couple thousands worth, but if you get into like 6 digits or 7 digits territory, you eat a huge slippage, and you can't even buy that amount of, obviously not real gold, but even, derivative gold on chain. So definitely we'll continue looking into that. Another challenge with that was that if you're doing stocks or gold or anything, that comes from a stock market, you have this market closures time. So you have to pause trading, I don't know, like Friday certain time until Monday until the markets open, and that's not the greatest UX, and it does create some risk because to pause something you kind of need keeper bots. So I remember that Synthetics was struggling with that as well.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? A lot of challenges there, but yeah, it would be great if we could come up with some other asset to peg everything to other than dollars.
I'd love that. I think we should be using it everywhere or whatever.
Yeah, no, right. That would be great, but of course we have to get quite a bit less volatility before that's going to happen.
True, yeah, because people are still just thinking in it, denominating in USD. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, very cool. Does anybody in the audience have any questions? Would anybody like to be unmuted and talk for a minute? So why don't we then start to circle back to the end, and I think maybe um, it might be good to just kind of go back and give a quick rundown of new user coming to the platform, go do the go do the get the academy thing on the website, right? The GameFi learning thing, or the gamified learning thing, and then what? How would you recommend a new user come and engage with the platform?
We actually have on that same dApp that I shared, we have also a thing called Onboarding Wizard, which is basically like a five-step wizard that if you're new to optimism, it's gonna help you get funds on optimism. Actually, if you're new to DeFi or Web3 or blockchain, it's gonna show you how to install MetaMask, then deposit some funds. And finally, I think fourth or fifth steps are just taking you through a educational video on how to use Thales. And there are docs, but ultimately just start with a couple of dollars worth, make some trades, get some rewards for those trades. Just take it from there. I find binary options very intuitive, very easy. It's not like, vanilla options where you have all those Greeks and all those considerations, which even after like 2 years of being very into this world and reading a lot of books and just educating myself, I still find it challenging, but binary options are very simple. So as you'll figure out, I'm sure, if you just give the dApp a go.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And right, you're not going to get wrecked by funding rate spikes, or weird, right, all the various
Yeah, you
weird
don't need to
weird.
be that vigilant or just think like, just buy an option, let it mature and see how you've done. I
Yeah,
mean, there are a lot of use cases for binary options. Like you can hedge your exposures. You can get an exposure to like futures without being liquidated. But I guess that comes later a bit when you just, get your basics in.
yeah, that makes sense. And right, this would be a good way to hedge other positions.
Definitely. And I think that's what people use it most for.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because yeah, this would be right for great for people like me that don't want to keep up with, right, all the 'cause there's just too much information to deal with, to track
Definitely.
to
Yeah,
track option
definitely.
positions.
100%.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Well, does anybody else have any questions? Going once. Relentless. I see you unmuted, but nope, still no microphone. Well, cool. And this has been fascinating. And do you have any closing thoughts or advice, or anything else you'd like to talk about, Daniel?
Well, I just want to thank you for having me. You've been great, great questions. Yeah, I'm just inviting people to, give it a go. I'm reminding everyone that there are rewards for everything you do right now. Optimism summer is ongoing, even though it's autumn already. So yeah, at least give it a go. See what kind of rewards you would get. At least, if nothing else, you will learn something from it.
Yeah, very cool. And yeah, it does sound like optimism is the place to be, and synthetics and associated protocols are seeming like the place to be as well.
I hope so.
So certainly exciting stuff and good. And any uh, and is there anything that you guys have upcoming? I know you've just released a whole bunch of stuff, so don't So I'm sorry if I'm putting you on the spot, but anything else that's upcoming that that you'd like our community to know about?
Yeah, like no, I mean there's always something coming with us. We are I kid you not, like we are releasing things weekly, always working, very, very diligently on new products. I just released a blog post that was just a moment of inspiration that I'm gonna share over here. Right now, I guess I'm mostly focused on overtime. There's a lot of hype around it, around sports betting on chain. So I released a blog post that kind of talks about what's coming. The biggest thing is definitely the World Cup, and in preparation for World Cup, we'll have a lot of initiatives, and we'll be releasing parlays where you can combine, as if you guys have bet on any Web2 venue, you know that parlays are where you combine multiple games into like an all or nothing ticket for max payout, and I'm pretty sure we are the first protocol that will be doing that on chain. So very excited about that one. And everything else, just go through the blog post. A lot of interesting things coming, and I'm pretty sure I haven't even included everything in that blog post.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, this is exciting. I'm super interested to go check out overtime and get into some sports betting. That'll make my F1 watching every weekend that much more exciting.
Much appreciated. No, F1 is, yeah, it's unique. Give it a try. I sure you can't find these markets anywhere else.
Yeah, no, this is just super cool. Well, cool. Well, thanks so much, Daniel. This has been amazing. Yeah, really appreciate your time to speaking with us and letting us learn from you. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
we'll upload this to YouTube if anybody wants to hear it again. If anyone is hearing it on YouTube right now for the first time, please like and subscribe, and we'll do a lot more of these.